Over 24 industrialized countries, more than 24 countries, this is out of the 34 OECD countries, require an employer of more than X number of people. It varies from country to country. Typically, it's 500 employees. Sometimes it's over 1,000. In a few countries, it's over 100 or 150. But you know, basically, medium to large size companies, they don't impose this on 4-person or 10-person or 12-person small mom and pop shops, but they require them to offer 4 to 6 weeks of paid vacation every year, and people take it. I lived in Germany for a year. During August, Europe shuts down. Everybody goes on vacation. Entire cities are empty, and it's really quite amazing. We went up to Norway and traveled all around Norway looking for my grandparents' house, and during August, and it was like the country was empty. Everybody in Norway had gone south, down to the beaches in southern France or something. So should we do that in the United States? Dan Gainor is the T. Boone Pickens Free Market Fellow and with the business and Vice President of the Business and Media Institute, businessandmedia.org. Dan, this seems like it works so well. Sweden is number 2 in the World Economic Forum rate 2010-2011 rankings of the most competitive economies. We're number 4. They're more competitive than we are, and they require 5 weeks of paid vacation a year.
Well, they're more competitive. They're more competitive, allegedly, according to that measure. But also, we handle all the defense chores for all of Europe. So I think that probably chips away at some of that.
Well, let's stop doing that.
Then what happens to the world? Meantime,
well, I think Europe can take care of itself. Thank you very much.
Well, why do we need government to tell me how many days off I have to take?
Because you don't have the power to tell your employer that yourself.
Well, no, I have the power to tell the government to go, you
have the power with regard to the government to every 2 years throw the bums out of office.
No, I have the problem.
You don't have that power with your employer.
Tom, we're not the crazy French who at one point cut back from the work week to 35 hours, and we're going around fining people and companies.
And you know what came out of that, Dan?
About that.
You know why they did that and what the result of going from the 40-hour week to the 35-hour week was?
Less productivity for the people who had to do that. They did
that because they saw that they had high unemployment, and they said there's too many people in the workforce. If we cut back the number of hours people work, there will be fewer. There will be room for more people in the workforce, and it worked. Their unemployment rate went down dramatically after they cut down back to the 35-hour week, which is why they enforced it, and it stayed that way for a generation.
No, Uncle Sam has no right to tell me how many hours I can work. And in fact, it's one of these crazy left-wing ideas that
I'm not talking about telling you. I'm talking about telling your employer that your employer has to offer it to you.
It's the same thing. They were going in France. They were going around to employers, and if they found somebody who would work 36 hours, the employer was getting in trouble. The employers are trying to force employees out, even salaried employees. I'm a salaried employee. I work most days. But pretty much all days, sometime or another, unless they go on vacation.
Sure, welcome to the club. But that doesn't mean that an employer should have the power to demand that of an employee. We're not talking about government mandating something. We're talking about government giving employees power.
We don't have
and I can't figure out why you're opposed to that.
Because it's insane. I mean, it's an incredible nanny-state exercise of just
giving employees power is insane.
I think government controlling how many hours I can work, government preventing me from making a contract with my employer saying I work or do a certain thing.
Dan, let me just ask a really simple question, just a core concept question.
Mm-hmm.
What institution or organization is it that provides the substrate on which business exists, that provides the infrastructure for business, that provides the educated workforce for business, that provides a court system for business?
It's
government.
Everything.
No, that provides the court system so the businesses can adjudicate contracts, that provides jails when people go wrong, like Bernie Madoff.
According to you, like people go wrong if they dare exercise, how many hours they want to work.
So if you're agreeing with me that government defines the rules of the game of business.
Society defines the rules, and that's where we differ immediately.
Wait a minute. I don't recall. What is the society thing? According to Ayn Rand, there is no such thing as society.
Doesn't mean I agree 100% with Ayn Rand, so it doesn't matter.
So what is the society thing that defines the rules? How does society legislate something absent the House, the Senate, and the President?
Business. So
I beg your pardon?
Society controls, businesses exercise the society, so is government.
So you're saying that society is the CEOs?
I'm saying yes, CEOs are part of society too. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was called high society.
Only in the alternate world that you live in. They're called.
So who's honestly, I'm really trying to understand this, Dan. Occasionally we're just kind of yelling at each other, but right now I'm really confused by your worldview. If you think that society defines the rules of business, in other words, what an employer can do, whether or not they can have child labor, whether or not they can, pay women half of what they pay men. If society is defining the rules of business, who is that society and how do we influence it?
It's you and me and everybody listening right here, and thankfully, a lot of people who don't listen to your program. So that keeps us from having these crazy laws, like 5 weeks vacation mandated. If an employer wants to hire me and they say, Dan Gainor, we really like you, and they're going to hire me, they offer me more vacation or more money or more benefits or commuting benefits or whatever they want to do, that's how this works. It's a free marketplace for my labor.
It's not a free marketplace if you're an employee and you've got an unemployment rate that's higher than 5 or 6%. It's not free at all. You've got a lot of desperate people. McDonald's was hiring 30,000 people, and they had over 1 million people apply for a burger flipping job. You're telling me that's a free marketplace?
It is a free marketplace. If you have good skills, you can still get jobs. You look at that unemployment rate, and what you'll find is people who are college educated do much.
Dan, have you run a Help Wanted ad recently?
What was that?
Have you run a Help Wanted ad recently?
A little while back, yeah. We got some ads. We got some applications, some good, some bad.
How many people responded to your Help Wanted ad? Did you put it like on Craigslist or something like that?
We put it. I think usually we advertise on journalism jobs and sometimes in the Post and places like that.
Yeah. So was your experience similar? I mean, we've placed Help Wanted ads 4 times in the last year, and every single time we've had a minimum of 300 people apply.
Well, you're advertising the wrong way. You have to kind of self-exclude the way you write an ad so that you kind of limit getting too many people applying so you don't get overwhelmed.
In other words, things like women need not apply?
Oh, come on. I got a couple of people. No,
but you want that to be legal, right? No. You want an employer to be able to say women need not apply, or if you're over 15, we don't want to hire you, we only hire kids? Because society makes the rules, not government?
I'm trying to extrapolate, let's see, vacation to discrimination. What's the leap you're doing there?
The leap is that our government, through our vote, determines the rules of the game of business. Right. Whether the rules of the game are whether or not you can exploit women, or whether or not you can exploit children, or whether or not you can exploit workers by not giving them a break.
No, you make those rules ridiculously onerous. People quit. Businesses go under.
Then why isn't Sweden broke?
Yeah, because again, we're protecting them.
Okay, I don't think that they have anything to worry about. I don't think Sweden's really worried about Finland invading them. But anyhow, Dan Gainor, businessandmedia.org.
Maybe Russia.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.